The most successful people in the world all have one thing in common. They've learned how to think big by developing a perspective of possibility. And the good news is, we all have the potential to apply the same strategies to achieve amazing things in our work and lives. Hi, I'm Rob Hartnett, and as your Chief Possibility Officer and host, I'm here to inspire you to become the star of your world as a person of possibility, through learning how people from all areas of life are thinking big and chasing down their dreams. Let's hear from a person of possibility right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the It's All Possible podcast. I am super excited for this one because we've got some Olympians and aspirational Olympians on the program today. We have Annie Wilmot and Laura Harding. How are you, girls?
Yeah, good. Good to be on, and thanks for having us.
No problem. And Annie, how are you going? You well?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Very excited.
And great win. So Sail Sydney's just happened at a time we're doing the recording, and you won that, which was fantastic. I heard you had crazy conditions, like really warm. Someone said it was like sailing in a hairdryer. Was that one of the comments I heard?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. It was a weird week, but it was good fun.
Right. Now I wanted to start with something a little different today. Now, have you guys ever are you doing much stuff with AI? Have you used ChatGPT and Bard from Google?
I mean, I actually have in the past few days, but I haven't before then, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you looked yourselves up?
No.
I have. Now, this was unplanned, but I thought it'd be interesting. So I looked up. I used Google's Bard, the new version. It's in beta testing at the moment, and I went, "Tell me about this Harding Wilmot crew." And this is what they said, right? And so I'm going to read this. So my eyes are going to go over here because I've got to read it to you.
Nervous.
Laura Harding, Annie Wilmot, a sailing duo with depth, right?
Ooh.
Laura Harding and Annie Wilmot, two Australian sailors who have formed a formidable team in the 49er FX class. Here's what I can tell you about their sailing backgrounds. Now, this is where I need your assistance. So, Laura, we're going to start with you. This is what Google Bard thinks about you, AI. Highly decorated sailor, has won multiple medals at the World Championships and World Cups, including gold at the 2017 World Championship and 2022 World Cup finals.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah, going well. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Goes on. Experience on the big stage, represented Australia at the 2016 and 2020 Olympics, finishing 6th and 7th, respectively. Well done, Laura. You've got to take that. Annie, don't you smile, I'll get on to you in a second. Known for her strength and precision, considered a powerful sailor who excels in boat handling and tactics. Well, I'd take that if I was you, frankly.
Yeah, definitely take that one.
That's interesting. Okay, Annie Wilmot.
Oh, no.
Annie Wilmot, rising star in the sport. Joined Laura Harding in the 49er FX class in 2021 and quickly established their dominance. Background in the 470 class. Previously sailed in the 470 class with Elise Rasici from Perth, finishing 9th in the 2020 Olympics.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Great work.
With Elise.
Now, here we go. Brings agility and tactical prowess to the team, known for her quick reactions and ability to read the wind and the water.
That's very accurate.
Take that.
Yeah.
Take that.
Now, it goes on.
Oh, no.
It goes on. Together as Harding and Wilmot, immediate success. The duo won gold at their first major championship, the 2021 World Championships, and have continued to excel since then. Now we go. Strong contenders. You guys should be serious going, yeah, this is all true. Strong contenders for Paris 2024 are currently ranked number 1 in the world and considered favourites for the gold medal at the upcoming Olympics. A dynamic partnership, their different strengths and personalities complement each other perfectly, creating a powerful and successful team.
Wow.
That's what you are. Search up Harding Wilmot on Google Bard, and that's what's there. So there you go. It's a pretty good start.
I'd love if a lot of that was true.
Yeah.
In time. We'll get there.
Well, it's going back in time, so it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's really interesting. When they say at the bottom of ChatGPT and Google Bard, hey, check all the facts, because the AI does hallucinate at times. Let me tell you, it does, right? So, you just don't copy and paste whatever you do. It's classic.
Free.
Okay, all right, let's get into the real part. We're going to do the truth telling now. And I'll ask each of these questions. I'll start with you, Annie. Where did the aspiration for the Olympic journey come from?
Oh, it's a big question.
Not that long, maybe 6 words, but
yeah. I come from a very big sailing family. So yeah, my dad was an Olympian. He won a bronze medal in LA. My cousin's an Olympian gold medalist. So a lot of my aspirations came from them, and watching them go through it and just seeing how cool it was. And then when I started, realized it was pretty cool, and I'm pretty good at it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Laura, what about you? Where the Olympic aspirations come from you?
Definitely a different background to Annie, but yeah, I think like going through the sport as a youngster, I didn't really love it at the start, and ever since I started racing, it kind of brought out the competitive side of me, and then ever since then, it's just, you know, you work your way through the ranks, and one opportunity presents itself after another, and you just keep, I guess, like following along that journey, and gets you to the point where you decide that you really want to pursue the games and try and put your best foot forward when you go.
It's a really great point. I like that. I was listening to a speech by an Olympian the other day, and she said it's a thing called the shift. She calls it the shift, and it's that shift when you go, okay, I'm going up next, and it's a really interesting part. You know, I explore a lot of this in my book. It's All Possible, and really what I'm getting at there, and I've been reflecting on the book, and I'm doing more stuff around it. But what I've found out is that having that kind of shift, that mindset where you go, what's really possible, is that a growth mindset is a ticket to the dance, to the possibility side. And it's taken me ages, and even writing a book, what didn't get me to it, but I finally got to it. And there's if you haven't read it yet, I'd highly recommend to both of you to read Arnold Schwarzenegger's new book called Useful, which is written by him. It's really down to earth, and it's very much about the tenacity, the curiosity, that extra level. And I think you would find some really interesting parts, especially the bits he talked about when he did Mr. Universe and how he failed at it. And then moved to LA and befriended the guy who beat him. He couldn't believe he beat him. He was in tears, but he befriended the guy who won and lived with him for 3 months, lived and trained. He just said, I just was never going to get it talking to him over the phone. I had to live, and it was something in the gym that I was missing, and that was it. So yeah, great book, highly recommend. It's called Useful. It's some really nice tidbits in it. So I think that shift is when you decide, I'm gonna go for it. Tell me about you two though. When did you first come across each other?
We actually raced against each other in the 2019 and the 2020 FX Worlds. Yeah, but
tell me about that.
We didn't really.
We were at different ends of the fleet. Let's just say that. Yeah, it was my first experience with big international racing, and like Annie had done a fair bit by that stage.
And where was
so
that?
Didn't really,
where was that?
It was in New Zealand, and then Geelong.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember. Was that Geelong just before COVID? Was that right? Was that 2019?
Yeah, like
2020, I think it was 2020. It was just before.
Yeah, they were right after each other, and right before lockdowns happened. Australia was having massive fires at the time, so everyone was wearing masks before masks even became the thing to do.
A thing, yeah. Should have invested back then, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
So the other thing, when you guys were obviously at different ends of the fleet, and clearly that's the difference now. So Laura, let's talk about that. You did a lot of very, very successful sailing in the 420, and that's where I obviously saw you and beforehand in Minnows. But what was the difference going from the 420 to the 49er FX? Like, what's the shift, the big shifts?
I mean, the biggest thing is like going from a mostly displacing boat to a pretty much constantly planing boat. Is just like the different feelings, and I'm still like to this day learning and kind of building upon that, I guess, fast boat experience. And I guess that was the biggest thing, as well as, I mean, I'd never really trapezed before, so definitely took a while to get used to that. But yeah, definitely the feelings of the speed was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, and of course, when you talk about the speed, it's then the speed you have to think at.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think, would that be right? I mean, I was talking to someone about it, and they said when they made the move from a displacement type boat to a 49er, they said it was basically like I was trying to cope and then someone said, "Oh my God, there's the mark." It's like
Yeah.
we hadn't even looked at the fleet. Like it was just so quick that the brain hadn't really caught up. Did you go
Yeah.
through that experience as well of being able to think faster? Yeah, because
Yeah,
the
yeah,
boat's so
yeah.
much faster.
For sure. And I guess like as soon as Annie and I jumped in together, it was quite like that was a big change in itself as well. Like Annie already had built up a lot of muscle memory, and she had that like bank of experience that we could go off and like jumped in, and she was just super quick at everything. And I was like, whoa, I'm going to step up a little bit.
So Annie, was
a
that
learning experience?
Did that come from your 29er? Because you had a lot of 29er experience, and then in the 49er.
Yeah. I tried to get out of slow boats as fast as I could and get trapezing because I never liked hiking. Yeah, sailing the 29er, and then jumping into the FX. I think I had a few years on top of Laura and her other crew,
Right.
of just being in the boat. Like even the 29er to the 49er is quite different, with how you sail it. So yeah, just time
Yeah.
helps.
I love that. Just I think it's just time.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
As
the
annoying
boats.
as it is.
As annoying. Well, it is, isn't it? I mean, it's like the 10,000 rule, or all the stuff about just getting. You get confidence by being competent.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just the
exactly.
hard work, and it's another really interesting point that Arnold makes. It just says most people don't succeed because they just don't do the work. They just don't do the work. And he said, you just got to do the work. When you came together, was there any ground rules you had for the partnership? Ones you can talk about?
That is an interesting question. I mean, it was a little bit different because when we first came together, we both just wanted to keep sailing the FX, and we didn't really lock anything in until about 12 months after we got on the boat together. We were just training partners for Tess and Jamie, who were in their lead up to the games,
Right.
with the COVID delays. So I guess we had a very different experience to a lot of people first teaming up. And it gave us a lot of time to discuss our previous experiences and kind of set how we want things to be. But to this day, like it's evolving every day, every week, every month as to how we like the rules we set down and how we operate.
Right. And who does what on the boat? Take me through that.
Like
So
roles wise?
Yeah, so let's talk about strategy and tactics. Is that shared?
Yeah.
Is there pre-start owned by Laura? Does it after the gun goes, it's over to you, Annie? How's that work?
Yeah, so I guess in short, I'm in charge of pulling ropes and speed and keeping the sails fast, and Laura's kind of in charge of the rest, in short. But our roles cross over each other quite a lot. And I think when you find a good mesh between the two, then it works quite well. But yeah, sometimes you can overstep your boundaries a little bit.
Tell me about what would be an occasion where you might what's an overstep the boundary?
Oh, I think as a crew, sometimes you don't get the full picture. Like you're not always looking around as much as the skipper is, and yeah, sometimes the crew can kind of override or overstep where maybe they don't have all the information. They just kind of have their blinders on a little bit.
Like a horse race.
Yeah,
so you blink it.
Race
You
horse
literally are,
fast.
aren't you? You know, you could be blinking through sails or what you're doing at the time, and then you see something and you react.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you then? How do you learn to deal with that?
I guess
I'll rephrase it. How are you learning to deal with that?
yeah, that's a better way. Yeah, I think like we said before, everything comes with time. I think just being aware of it and catching on, keeping each other accountable. Like Laura's pretty good at telling me when it's too much, and then the more I can kind of be on top of when it is happening versus when it's relevant, the better.
It's sometimes like you need it as a skipper, and you need that the different perspective as well as like what you get from a coach. But like in the moment, you've just got the two of you, and you just have to figure out how to best use those two brains and put it into action. So it's definitely a positive thing at times, and you just have to figure out where the line is and when it's needed, when it's not.
Sometimes Laura will just filter me out.
Yeah.
It's
both ways.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Not hearing anything. How do you, one of the things that you're sailing at the absolute elite and top level, When you're doing that, how do you balance the roller coaster, which you can get into, which is that, huge, win, and I often see people have a huge win, it's massive celebration, then they have a shit race and it's like a massive depression. How do you make the roller coaster like more like ripples? Do you guys celebrate a certain way, even if it's a bad race, you reflect on it? How do you keep it sort of like it so it's not massive up and downs, but just ripples?
I mean, it's different for each regatta and each race as well, mostly depending on the conditions.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, like when it's light winds, if you have a good race, like you can't really celebrate it too much, but you have to then take the good things of that race into the next one, but not too much, because then you get too swayed by what's happened before. So I
Right.
guess it's like
Okay.
regatta to regatta, like if you have like good moments throughout and then like it doesn't kind of give you a good result in the end, it also provides a different feeling. So definitely depends on the situation as to how you should respond or like
Want to respond.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, I really like that. I think that's great to kind of isolate it to that regatta or that race because there's another one coming, or that regatta because we're going to be
There's a
set up for
bigger
different
one.
conditions. Yeah, I think that's a really
Yeah.
smart move. And yeah, I've learned a lot in that space from the pro cycling teams. It's been really interesting watching. You see the pro cycling teams are really quite good at the one, especially the ones who win continuously, about kind of containing the excitement of a stage win, and also really containing the negative if they have someone fall off or it's just a bad day. And it's just, yeah, it's really fascinating to watch how they do that. And I don't think it's any different from what you guys are doing. Talk about coaches. Not too much, but just tell us about. I want to get into coaches about, because you've both been sailing for so long now and have worked with so many coaches over time. But what makes a good coach from your perspective? What are the things? Give me like three things that coaches do well. That a good coach does
Say
well.
good things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it good.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think
family
there's
show.
yeah, I think there's different coaching styles that works at different points of your campaign and different points of the year. So when you're training hard and working on something super specific, it's really helpful to have a coach that just is so direct and determined to make you better in that one thing or those few areas. And then when you go into racing, you kind of want a little bit more of a chill coach, someone who can kind of handle the emotions, keep it calm, kind of raise the level when you need it raised, or lower it if he needs to bring you back down a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty fair. Yeah. And it is an interesting journey, even being a coach,
yeah,
and moving from that competitor to coach is a whole, different ball game.
yeah. You definitely end up spending a lot of time with each other, traveling overseas a lot, and especially coming from Australia, you end up going overseas for maybe 3 months at a time, and you probably end up spending 2.5 of those with your sailing partner and with your coach. So you do have to get along, which I think for both of us is a big part of what makes a good coach. But yeah, the ability for them to be able to kind of flip a switch and go into coach mode is really good.
Yeah, I think going into coach mode, I like that. That's a really good point. Annie, you probably answered this one better than Laura, maybe, but just the sail changes, because you went from different sails. Tell us about the shift and what's different about the new sails you're using on the boat.
Yeah, so the 3DI, they're not as, for lack of a better word, stretchy as the Mylar sails. So a big shift has actually been the weight in our class has gone up. As much as they wanted to bring it down, everyone's kind of gotten bigger, and we've realized if you're heavier, you're faster, and why
Right.
not be heavier? Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think as well, like the goal was the shift from Mylar sails to 3DI, the goal was to reduce the amount of sails that we have to buy, keep it more consistent, because it does come off a mold. Obviously, there's still variation within that and within how they, put together the final sail for you. But yeah, reduce the amount of sails and the overall cost. So eventually you won't have to be buying 15 sets of sails to get like a few good ones that you want as well.
Yeah,
and
they're definitely a lot more
consistent.
consistent.
Yeah.
So they're more consistent than the ones you're buying now, which is
Yeah.
has to be a good thing.
Last longer as well.
Yeah. And what about steering, Laura? Is there any different because it doesn't have that much give, as Annie was saying? Is it harder to steer with them, or you can get into a groove and really just go for it?
I think it depends on a lot, but the biggest thing is trying to set it up to be as forgiving as possible, because with the Mylar sails, you could kind of what Annie said, like, because they stretch a little bit more and they give a little bit more, you've got a little bit more leeway, but with the 3DI, you have to be pretty on top of how you want it set up for the race or the lineup or whatever it is, or else you kind of pay the price, and you definitely feel that in the rudder and feel that in the boat quite a lot.
Okay. So that's what I was getting at. So you're actually feeling it through the rudder, and you know that's slow. So
yeah.
That's interesting. And is there any particular crews adapted to them, or any countries that have adapted to the sails better than anybody else?
I wouldn't say anyone really sticks out. I think everyone's adapted to them quite well. Like straight off the bat, the first year that all the sails and the masts changed, I think there was a lot of nerves for how fast everyone would adapt and could figure them out. But I think everyone's done quite a good job of that.
Right.
Yeah, it was easier than we all thought.
Okay, but definitely sounds like more weights faster. That seems to be the general consensus.
Yeah. The heavier teams definitely had a bit more of a jump than the lighter ones.
Okay, good to know. And so Annie, you're doing the Youth America's Cup side of things. How's that? Where's it up to? And I'm interested whether you've had to go in the simulator at this point.
Yeah, we're using the sim as much as we can, trying to get in there, just get hours up pretty much. It's at the moment, it's all we have our hands on. We can't get onto any boats, and we're probably not quite at the level that we want to be getting onto the boats yet.
Right.
But it's definitely something that we want to try and do in the future. Yeah, it's a very different kind of sailing, all very based off numbers, whereas the sailing we do is based off feel pretty much.
And what's the next step for you for that? Is that when do you get on a boat?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. We're trying to build sponsors for the Team Australia Challenge at the moment, so that we can get on boats and do all the things that we want to be able to do, because if we can't get on the boat, then the chances of us winning kind of decrease. But we all believe we can win, so just trying to build sponsors first, and then the doors will open a little bit more.
Yeah. And what about for you guys next? What's the next when do you go to Europe, for example, or what's the next regatta after Sail Sydney?
We've got a little bit of time in Australia. We'll head back to Europe middle of Feb. So we have the World Champs in Lanzarote, which is in the Canary Islands. They'll be the start of March. We'll have a little bit of preparation time before they start, and there's a small regatta as well that we'll go to at the end of Feb.
Is that there or somewhere else? So you go to Canary Islands, it's there as well. Okay. Where do you go after Canary Islands?
After Canary Islands, it'll be kind of the normal calendar for the start of the season. So it'll be Palma, Princess Sophia Regatta in Palma, and then the Hyères Regatta in France. Right.
So you're kind of painting this as a pretty rock star lifestyle, Laura.
Yeah. Gotta go to Spain and then
I know it's like, you're like, yeah, it's just kind of the usual then. So
it's
my God, it sounds amazing. I want to be Olympian.
Funny. Yeah. It's pretty funny. You kind of get used to what life is like going to Spain at the start of every year is so normal. And
yes.
Yeah, it's funny when you explain it to people. They kind of look at you with wide eyes.
Well, you guys, the thing is that you guys got to enjoy it as well. That's the great thing that it sounds like you're still really enjoying it, and you're enjoying the sailing, and enjoying the venues when you're doing there as well. Tell us about the campaign, because these campaigns, whether it's the America's Cup or the campaign you're doing for the Olympics, are always ongoing costs. You talked about the sales beforehand. So how can people kind of donate or support you guys as a team?
I think the biggest thing is just showing as much support as you can on social media. We're trying to build that up slowly over time. And we also have an Australian Sports Foundation account that people can make tax deductible donations to as well, if they really want to help financially, I guess.
Yeah, why not join the journey, Laura? Get into it.
Yeah,
but it'll be great. We'll put those links in the show notes as well. But I want to kind of finish up with the question for each of you. What do you love about sailboat racing?
Ooh.
Annie, start with you. What do you love about
it? I think the biggest thing for me is being on the water every day. You get to be out on the water, whether it's sunny, whether it's raining, and you're around people that enjoy the sport as much as you do. And I think Olympic campaigns, you're always around high performance type of people that are always trying to get better.
Yeah,
that does it for me.
That's great. Laura, over to you. What do you love about it?
I think the biggest thing for me is the challenge of it. I say a lot that sailing is quite a unique sport in the way that every time you race, and even if you're racing multiple times in one day or one afternoon, it's completely different. So you have to really build a strong foundation to be able to be consistent, especially internationally as well. So the challenge of, making the most of the regattas overseas and just trying to improve every day and, make the most of the experiences that you have.
Yeah, it's not the same race. Each race, is it? I mean, the whole day's changed. The afternoon can be different than the morning, and I think that challenge, you're either up for it or you're not. I mean, some people can do it. You guys obviously love it. That you're on the water. Tell us give us some social media stuff. You talked about that. What's your Instagram? What's that?
Instagram, it's Harding Wilmot Sailing, and then we also have a LinkedIn account as well.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so corporate sponsors, head over there.
Yeah.
Anybody else who wants to be cool, over to Instagram.
Exactly.
Keep posting on all that kind of stuff, because people do follow you around the world, and it is exciting to be able to tap in and see what you're going. I know it's sometimes after a race or a tough day in the water, you go, I'm going to post. But I mean, just posting, I think you guys do a great job as well. And I think just doing stuff in the moment, and we enjoy the journey you're on. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. I'm really excited for the future, and great to talk to both of you, and best of luck in the oncoming regattas and all those terrible places you have to sail.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us.
No problem. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the It's All Possible podcast. You can contact me at rob@robhartnett.com, or my website, robhartnett.com, or on LinkedIn. Remember to check out the previous seasons and episodes of the podcast and the show notes for more details on this episode's guest. For more inspiration, remember to check out the It's All Possibility playlist on Spotify, which contains a collection of upbeat, positive music I use for inspiration in my live performances. Until next time, live with passion and a perspective of possibility.